support.
The maestro, please.
We've been dancing around this one for a while now, and honestly, we're a bit late to it. But today we will finally be going over Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Marking the third time we've now talked about the West Coast rapper. We first talked about him way back when we did
You and I know, bitch, be humble. Hold up, bitch. Sit down. Hold up, be humble.
and then a few years later again when we touched on
Bitch. You ugly as fuck. You out of pocket. 2 ATMs. You stepping over.
Since then, he's been able to get pop hits on the chart either solo
I'm a diehard, it gets ugly. Too passionate, it gets ugly.
or through collaborative efforts.
We gon' fuck up the world. Excuse me, but if that's your girl, didn't mean to possess your
Background.
Strap in, we're gonna be here for a while. So this was first released on May 4th of 2024, charting just 2 weeks later at number 1. Ever since then, it's essentially bounced around the top of the charts. Yes, it got knocked out of number 1, but it got back to number 1 a couple of times, displacing other prominent songs, which oddly enough we talked about, both
For a fortnight there we were together running to
and
There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar getting tips.
given as of the end of August, it is currently at number 4. For those that don't know, Not Like Us is a diss track, and oddly enough, this isn't even the first diss track we've ever done before. The last one we did between Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly was
Kill shot, I will not fail. I'm with the doc still, but this idiot's boss pops pills and tells him he's got skills, but Kel's a day.
Regardless, this is part of a long-standing feud that Kendrick Lamar has had with Drake. Now, this feud dates back all the way to 2011, but in the context around Not Like Us, we're gonna get a bit more recent with it. Now, this particular escalation first started all the way back in October of 2023 with
Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey or me? We the big three like we started a league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali.
It wouldn't be until the end of March, though, until we actually hear Kendrick Lamar's thoughts on being grouped alongside Drake and J. Cole with
Think I won't drop the location, I still got PTSD. Motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me.
Originally, J. Cole had the first response on April 5th with
Light work, like it's PWC, it's a cold world. Keep the heat under your seat, I got a phone.
But then he would then drop out, apologizing for making the diss track in the first place and actually pulling it from streaming services. Only 2 weeks later, though, Drake would finally come in with a double drop, doing both
Extortion, baby, whole career, you been shook up. Cause top told you drop it, give me 50 likes of push-ups. Hood.
as well as
But now we gotta wait a fucking week. Cause Taylor Swift is your new top. And if you about to drop, she gotta approve. It's
Kendrick would then respond at the end of April with
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I
giving then he'd release another song at the beginning of May 3rd with
Yeah, somebody's lying, I can see the vibes on act. Even he looking compromised, let's peel the layers back. Ain't no
Oddly enough, that same day, Drake would respond with
You did it dirty all your life, you tryna make peace. I heard that one of them little kids might be day free.
and then literally that same day, Kendrick Lamar, preempting what Drake was going to say in his previously released track, would then respond with
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father, let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man.
and then not even 24 hours later, Kendrick Lamar responds with
They not like us, they not like us, they not like us. They not like us.
Oddly enough, the very next day, Drake would respond, but many did not see the response as strong enough, and many argue that Kendrick Lamar actually came out on top, despite Drake being the most recent response, with
Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested.
You think it would end there, but Not Like Us's popularity really kept things going. On June 19th, during Kendrick Lamar's The Pop Out, Ken and Friends, he would even perform Not Like Us publicly. He would perform it 5 times, back to back to back to back to back. Even then, on the 4th of July, he would release a music video for Not Like Us.
Reincarnated, I was stargazing. Life goes on, honey, and all my babies.
Because of the high-profile nature of the feud, many artists would release songs themselves, or at least statements, given the most notable was the creation of the first instrumental diss track, that being... Honestly, this feud has been analyzed half to death over the last couple of months, so if you want more on the feud specifically, you got plenty else to go through. Getting back to just Not Like Us specifically, it actually has quite a few samples in it. The first and most obvious being... The sample pretty much makes up the majority of the track itself, minus like the vocals, the bass, and the piano and the drums. Obviously, the song starts off with it. And then more prominently features a different part of the sample.
They not like us, they not like us, they not like us.
Other than that, we do have two more references. The first one you can also hear in the beginning that takes it from... It is just Mustard's production tag, but it's important that it's coming from a YG song, especially considering that Drake was referencing the fact that he aligned himself with YG on Family Matters. We then have the very beginning of the song, which is actually a reference to the movie The Sixth Sense. One of the most well-known lines from the movie, and it's obviously a reference to how supposedly Drake is about to get destroyed in the song. Psst.
I see dead people.
I see dead people.
There is another sample, but it's unique to the music video only, having a sort of intro. It samples... Again, really only used in that intro, but it's still a sample that is used in relation to the song.
Woke up looking for the broccoli. High key, keep a horn on me, that could my seat. IP, ownership, the blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off at my feet.
Despite the various samples being used, none of them, besides Mustard himself, given he's also the producer on this song, which we'll talk about later, are credited to any extent. In addition to Kendrick Lamar, joining him on the production side are Mustard, Soundwave, and Sean Momberger. Speaking of which, Dejon McFarlane, formerly known as DJ Mustard, now just known as Mustard, is a legendary producer in the hip-hop scene. You have most certainly heard a Mustard track before, whether it was one of his early hits,
Rack City, bitch, rack city, bitch, rack city, bitch, rack city, bitch, rack city,
or maybe something a bit more recent.
Listen to my heart go
Moving on to Soundwave, who we've talked about before in relation to Kendrick Lamar. He was on N95. Since then, he's continued to get a diverse selection of credits, including those of...
Karma is my boyfriend, karma is a god, karma is the breeze in my hair.
as well as...
Running through the river with Judas.
Finally, we have Sean Momberger, also who we've mentioned before back when we did...
But you can whip your lovin' on me. That's right, whip your lovin' on me. Young J.A.C.
Since then, though, this would be his next big pop credit. Not Like Us is released solely by Interscope.
Form.
Not Like Us is a West Coast hip-hop and hi-fi song, just over 4.5 minutes in 4/4 time, B minor and 101 beats per minute. Obviously, we start off with the intro that has the Sixth Sense line, the introduction of the sample, and the mustard tag. We then go into a very long first verse.
Hey, mustard on the beat, ho.
Followed by a short chorus.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
A longer second verse.
You think the bay gon' let you disrespect Pop, nickel?
And another short chorus.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
A third and final verse.
Once upon a time, all of us was in chains.
Before going to a bridge.
He a fan, he a fan, he a fan.
And then getting to the outro.
Are you my friend?
Which then leads us to the end of the song.
sample.
Now the sample is literally just another song entirely with its own elements. We have the brass line up top, we have a flute line in the middle, and the original bass line on the bottom, essentially spelling out the chords E minor 7 and then a B minor over D. The much more used part of the sample uses a different section of the song. We now have strings up top, the flute line in the middle, and the original bass line at the bottom. Notice the flute only plays every other bar, and the bass line is essentially just repeating those low Bs. Regardless, the strings up top go back and forth between doing B minor and G major over B chords. Notice that the second time it plays each time, it's just a little bit longer, that ending note.
Bass.
The actual song's bass, not the one in the sample, pretty much just repeats a syncopated low B for the most part. It does hit a G every now and again, though.
Piano.
The only other instrument in the song besides the drums and percussion is this buried piano line that plays sporadically throughout the song, always doing these half notes of that E, C sharp, D line.
Intro.
As stated previously, the intro is just the Sixth Sense reference and the mustard tag.
Psst. I see dead people.
Verse.
Now getting into the meat of the song, Kendrick starts off the first verse and we look at his flow primarily being between 16th notes and 8th notes, given we do see some fluctuation in the way he delivers certain lines, making it more of a swung kind of feel with the dotted 16th and the 32nd.
Mustard on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a freak throw, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, nail a nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo.
Very early on, though, he starts introducing triplets as well.
What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama, how many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options, I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton.
And while almost all of the phrases are essentially those 4 bars, sometimes we get 2-bar phrases like this one.
Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching.
You notice as we continue on, he's combining more different elements, the 16ths and 8ths, the tripled 8ths, and those dotted 16th 32nd lines.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walk him down whole time, I know he got some hoe in him. Pull on him, extort shit, bully the flow on him.
As we continue on to probably one of the most well-known parts of the song, you'll notice a couple of things. When he gets more conversational with his lines, the rhythms are a bit more loose. You'll also notice that now we have repeated 30-second notes in here, very much amping up the energy in the song.
Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him.
Another good thing to point out with Kendrick's flow, on the lines that pack a bit more of a punch, you'll notice they're a bit more spaced out, as opposed to the beginning of phrases where they're a bit more relentless in the rhythms.
They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs, and party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baka got a weird case, why is he around? Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles.
One of the most well-known and popular lines of the song, very much emphasizing these hard 8th note figures, and of course at the very end, we have that very long 2-bar plus hold on the end of A minor.
Wop, 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 that fuck 'em up. Wop, 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 I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch, ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
Moving on to the second verse, we get an instance of a combination of the two things we talked about earlier. This combination of triplet figures and more conversational, loose rhythms, especially on the end of the first 2 bars in this phrase.
You think the Bay gon' let you disrespect Pop, nigga? I think that Oakland show gon' be your last stop, nigga. They cold foul, I don't know why you still pretending. What is the owl? Bird niggas and bird bitches, go.
And again here, you'll notice in the second bar where he's addressing Drake directly, it's more conversational and the rhythm's a bit looser. And at the end of it, we emphasize that Malibu's Most Wanted reference with the triplet figures.
The audience not dumb, shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow. Rabbit hole is still deep, I can go further, I promise. Ain't that some P-rest, that's for bitchin', you Malibu Most Wanted.
Moving on to the second verse, this phrase specifically stands out. Notice the heavy use of triplets, both 8th note and 16th, and notice how it's a bit more spaced out, even with these heavily syncopated 16th note rhythms at the end, and how far it extends into the following phrase at the end.
Ain't no law boy, you ball boy, fish Gatorade or something. Since 2009, I had this bitch jumping. You niggas will get a wedgie, be flipped over your boxes or over your foe. The other vaginal option, pussy.
He continues that into the following phrase as well. We have 30-second notes, we have triplet 16ths, we have triplet 8ths, and we have those kind of almost pseudo-swung 16th notes with combinations of 16ths and 30 seconds.
Nigga better straighten they posture. Got favors all up in contact. Might write this with a doctor. Tell a pop star quit hiding. Fuck a caption, won't action. No accident, I'm hands on. He fuck around, get polished.
As we move on, though, we start to move away from the triplet figures, instead focusing on 8ths, 16ths, and even 30 seconds.
Fucked on Wayne Grow, he was in jail. That's conniving. Then get his face tatted like a bitch apologizing. I'm glad D-Rose came home, y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alondra down to Central, nigga better not speak on Serena.
He continues that into the following phrase as well, though we have a little bit of syncopation with the 16ths, the 30 seconds, and even a dotted 16ths. But notice on that very last bar, he starts to actually not so much sing, but it's a very identical B note.
And your homeboy needs subpoena. That predator moving flocks. That name gotta be registered and placed on neighborhood watch. I lean on you niggas like another line of walk. Yeah, it's all eyes on me and I'ma send it up the pot.
That is very much emphasized in the following phrase as well. Minus the A's, he's pretty much holding on to that B note. We even get a quick C sharp on a 30-second on the word music, given by the end of the phrase, he is transitioning back to rapping and we don't get such a defined B note.
Put the roll label on me, I'ma get them dropped. Ay, sweet chin music and I won't pass the ox. Ay, how many stocks do I really have in stock? Ay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. Ay.
As we wrap up the second verse, Kendrick transitions back to his flow, choosing to focus on the 8ths and 16ths with a couple of triplet figures at the end.
Devil is a lie, he is 69 God. Ay, freaky ass niggas need to stay their ass inside. Ay, roll their ass up like a fresh pack of Zod. Ay, city is back up, it's a must, we outside. Ay.
Getting to the third and final verse, Kendrick draws back the energy, although we still have the 8th note triplets, the 16ths, and the straight 8ths.
Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still double down, calling us some slaves. Atlanta was the mecca, building railroads and trains. Bear with me for a second, let me put y'all on game.
As we move further through the third verse, we actually abandon the triplets entirely, and in fact, the syncopation isn't even that heavy between the 16ths and the 8ths.
The settlers was using town folk to make them richer. Fast forward 2024, you got the same agenda. You run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. Let me break it down for you, this the real nigga challenge.
Oddly enough, in the third verse, we get the first introduction of a backup vocal from Kendrick Lamar. He is just going what in response to him referencing the other rappers that Drake has worked with, but it's still an additional vocal line nonetheless.
You caught Future when you didn't see the club. Hey, what? Lil' baby help you get your lingo up. What? 21 get your false street cred. Thug make you feel like you a slime in your head. Hey, what?
The backup vocals then do drop out at the end of the next phrase, but I imagine that's done so you can focus on the colonizer line.
Quavo said you can be from Northside. What? 2 Chainz say you good, but he lied. You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you not a colleague, you a fucking colonizer.
The final verse actually ends with a little 2-bar phrase that transitions us into the bridge.
The family matter and the truth of the matter. Here was God's plan to show y'all the liar.
Chorus.
By comparison, the chorus is wildly simplistic. Just these 3 groups of 8th note triplets that's repeated.
They not like us. 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 They not like us.
Bridge.
The bridge is almost all entirely sung, or at least there are identifiable notes. We have the ms at the bottom, which is an additional backup line that Kendrick Lamar does, which clearly does have notes, but then he has these 16th and 8th note figures starting on that B and going up to the D, or at least that's what it sounds like.
He a fan, he a fan, he a fan. He a fan, he a fan, here.
The backup vocals then drop out and we just have this one main line. Still, it's just a B and D, but instead of the 8th notes and 16ths throughout, it goes back and forth between those 8th and 16ths, and then the 8ths and triplet 8ths.
Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life.
The following phrase is identical to that, given it transitions into the last line of the bridge, and the instrumental backs off a little bit.
Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life.
We then have this lovely back and forth with crowd vocals, finally transitioning into the outro.
Let me hear you say OV-ho. OV-ho. Say OV-ho. OV-ho. Then step this way, step that way. Then step this way, step that way.
Outro.
The outro starts off with almost these pleading lines that obviously Kendrick Lamar is doing as satire, before repeating lines that were used at the end of the bridge.
Are you my friend? Are we locked in? Then step this way, step that way. Then step this way, step that way.
Certainly certainly a diss track, and arguably the most popular diss track ever made. Kendrick Lamar made this in response to Drake. Drake commented that he couldn't make like a good dance song, a good club hit, and he had to focus on lyricism and artfulness to do his diss tracks, thus not getting a lot of radio play. And then he did this, and it got a lot of radio play, and it's extremely popular, and it's a #1 hit. Now, I will admit I am biased towards Kendrick Lamar. I tend to like Kendrick Lamar's music more than I like Drake's. And also, Kendrick Lamar has won a Pulitzer, but obviously Drake has a lot more platinum records. But at the end of the day, just support the artist that you like. If you're a Drake fan, go for Drake. If you're a Kendrick fan, go for Kendrick. But you gotta admit, one of the best lines in this entire feud is always going to be,
Trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. They not like us, they not like us, they not like us. They not like us, they not like us, they not like us.
Apparently Drake might be actually reigniting the feud with some tracks he released. He released SOD, but people are referencing specifically Circadian Rhythm and No Face, so I guess there might be more to talk about now.
They not like us, they not like us, they not like us. They not like us, they not like us, they not like us.